The dining room was fancy, with shiny plates and a chandelier sparkling like a million stars. But the air felt heavy, like a storm was coming. Tom sat at the long table, his hands sweaty, his heart pounding. His in-laws, Mr. and Mrs. Carver, stared at him like he was a bug they wanted to squash. Their daughter, Lily, Tom's wife, sat next to him, her face pale. The whole room was quiet, except for the clink of forks and knives. "You're useless, Tom," Mrs. Carver snapped, her voice sharp like a knife. She leaned forward, her fancy necklace glinting. "You can't even afford a decent suit. Look at you, embarrassing our family." Tom's face burned. He wanted to say something, anything, but the words stuck in his throat. He glanced at Lily, hoping she'd defend him, but she just looked down at her plate, her fork shaking in her hand. Mr. Carver laughed, a mean, loud laugh that echoed in the room. "A gardener, Lily? Really? You married a man who digs dirt for a living? We gave you everything, and you chose this?" He waved his hand at Tom like he was waving away a fly. The other guests' rich friends of the Carver snickered behind their napkins. Tom felt like he was shrinking, like he might disappear under the table. He wasn't just a gardener. He was something else, something huge. But they didn't know. Nobody knew. Not even Lily. Mrs. Carver slammed her glass down, making everyone jump. "I've had enough. Tom, you're a disgrace. You'll never be good enough for our daughter. Get out of my house." Tom's heart stopped. Get out? In front of everyone? He looked at Lily, begging her with his eyes to say something. She opened her mouth, but before she could speak, Mr. Carver stood up, his face red with anger. "Out! Now!" he roared, pointing at the door. Tom stood, his legs shaky. The whole room was watching, whispering, laughing. He wanted to scream the truth, to tell them who he really was. But he didn't. Not yet. He turned to leave, his shoes clicking on the shiny floor. Just as he reached the door, he heard Lily's voice, soft but clear. "Dad, stop. You don't know what you're doing." Everyone froze. Tom turned back, his hand on the doorknob. Lily was standing now, her eyes wide with fear and something else. Something like a secret. What did she mean? Did she know something about Tom? Or was she just trying to save him? The room was silent, waiting. Tom's heart raced. What was Lily going to say next? And what would happen when the Carvers found out the truth about him? Let's go back to the start, a few months ago, when things were simpler, so Tom thought. Tom and Lily lived in a small, cozy house at the edge of the city. It had a tiny garden out front, with flowers Tom planted himself. He loved working with his hands, digging in the dirt, making things grow. To everyone else, he was just Tom, the gardener. Quiet, kind, and maybe a little boring. Lily was different. She came from a rich family, the Carvers, who owned half the city's businesses. They had money, power, and a big mansion that looked like a castle. Lily could have had anyone, but she chose Tom. She said she loved his smile, his gentle heart, and the way he made her laugh. Tom loved her too, more than anything. But her family? They hated him. "They'll come around," Lily always said, squeezing his hand. "They just need time." But they didn't. Every time Tom visited the Carvers' mansion, it was the same. Mrs. Carver would roll her eyes and mutter about low-class people. Miss Carver would ask Tom how much money he made, not much, and then laugh like it was the funniest joke ever. Lily's brother Jake was the worst. He'd call Tom Dirt Boy and make fun of his old truck. Tom took it all quietly. He didn't want to make trouble for Lily. But inside, it hurt. He wasn't just a gardener. He was hiding something big, something that could change everything. Years ago, Tom had started a tech company in secret. He was a genius, with computers, building apps and programs that nobody else could. His company grew fast, and now it was worth billions. Tom was a billionaire, but he kept it hidden. He didn't want fame or fancy things. He just wanted a simple life with Lily. Only one person knew his secret, his best friend Max, who helped run the company. Max was always begging Tom to tell the world. "Why do you let these snobs treat you like garbage?" Max would say. "Show them who you are." But Tom didn't want to. Not yet. He wanted Lily to love him for who he was, not for his money. And he didn't want to fight with her family. He thought maybe, just maybe, they'd accept him one day. One sunny afternoon, Tom was in the garden, planting roses for Lily. She loved red roses, and he wanted to surprise her. His hands were covered in dirt, and he was smiling, thinking about her laugh. That's when Jake's shiny sports car pulled up. "Hey, dirt boy," Jake called, leaning out the window. He was wearing sunglasses and a smirk. "Still playing in the mud, huh?" Tom wiped his hands on his jeans and stood up. "Hi, Jake," he said, trying to stay calm. Jake got out of the car and walked over, kicking one of Tom's flower pots. It cracked, and dirt spilled everywhere. "Oops," Jake said, grinning. "Guess you'll have to clean that up, gardener." Tom's fists clenched, but he didn't say anything. Jake laughed and kept talking. "You know, Lily's too good for you. Dad's planning to set her up with a real man, someone with money. You're just a phase." Tom's heart twisted. "Lily loves me," he said quietly. Jake snorted. "Sure, for now. But wait till she sees what she's missing. You're nothing, Tom. Nothing." Jake got back in his car and sped off, leaving Tom standing in the broken dirt. For the first time, Tom wondered if Jake was right. What if Lily's family convinced her to leave him? What if she started to believe he wasn't good enough? That night, Tom told Lily what happened. She was furious. "Jake's an idiot," she said, hugging Tom tight. "I love you, and I don't care what they think." Tom smiled, but deep down, he wasn't so sure. The Carvers were powerful. They always got what they wanted, and they wanted Tom gone. A week later, Lily came home with a fancy envelope. It was an invitation to a big dinner at the Carvers' mansion. "It's for my dad's birthday," Lily said, her eyes nervous. "They want us both to come." Tom's stomach twisted. Another dinner with the Carvers? That meant more insults, more laughter, more feeling like he didn't belong. But Lily looked so hopeful, like maybe this time would be different. "Okay," Tom said, forcing a smile. "I'll go." Lily hugged him. "Thank you. I know it's hard, but I want them to see how amazing you are." Tom didn't say it, but he thought, they'll never see it, not unless they know the truth. The day of the dinner came fast. Tom put on his best suit, which was old and a little tight. Lily looked beautiful in a blue dress, like a princess. "You look great," she said, kissing his cheek. Tom didn't feel great. He felt like he was walking into a lion's den. Back to the dining room, where we started. Tom was at the door, his hand on the knob, and Lily had just shouted, "Dad, stop! You don't know what you're doing!" Mr. Carver's face turned purple. "What did you say, young lady?" Lily stepped forward, her hands shaking but her voice strong. "You can't kick Tom out. He's my husband, and you don't know who he really is." The guests gasped. Mrs. Carver's eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about, Lily?" Lily opened her mouth, but before she could say more, the dining room doors burst open. A man in a sharp suit walked in, holding a tablet. It was Max, Tom's best friend. His face was serious, but his eyes were sparkling with excitement. "Tom," Max said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "we need to talk. It's about the company." The room went dead silent. Mr. Carver frowned. "Company? What company?" Max grinned. "Oh, didn't Tom tell you? He's the CEO of Techstar. You know, the billion-dollar company?" The guests started whispering. Mrs. Carver's glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. Lily's eyes widened, and she turned to Tom, her mouth open. Tom's heart was pounding. The secret was out. But what would happen now? Would Lily be angry he hid the truth? Would the Carvers change their tune? Or would this make everything worse? And why was Max here, right now, with that look on his face? What was so urgent that he had to crash the dinner? The dining room was frozen, like someone had pressed pause on a movie. Shattered glass sparkled on the floor where Mrs. Carver's drink had fallen. The guests stared, their forks halfway to their mouths. Mr. Carver's face was red, his mouth open like a fish. Lily's eyes were locked on Tom, wide with shock and questions. And Max, standing in the doorway with his tablet, looked like he was enjoying the chaos a little too much. Tom's heart thumped so loud he thought everyone could hear it. He hadn't wanted this. He'd kept his secret for years, hiding his billions, his company, his real life. And now, in one moment, it was all out. He glanced at Lily, scared of what she'd say. Would she be mad he lied? Would she think he didn't trust her? "Tom," Lily whispered, her voice shaky. "Is this true?" Before Tom could answer, Max stepped forward, his voice loud and clear. "Oh, it's true, all right. Tom's not just the CEO of Techstar. He's the genius who built it from nothing. The guy's a billionaire. Surprised you didn't know, considering he's your son-in-law." The guests gasped again, whispering to each other. Mrs. Carver clutched her necklace like it was a lifeline. Mr. Carver slammed his fist on the table, making the plates rattle. "This is nonsense," he roared. "A gardener? A billionaire? You expect us to believe this?" Max raised an eyebrow and held up his tablet. "Want proof? I've got bank statements, company records, even a Forbes article that calls Tom the secret billionaire of the tech world. Shall I email it to you?" Tom wanted to sink through the floor. "Max," he said quietly, "stop." But Max wasn't stopping. He turned to the guests, his grin wide. "You all thought Tom was some nobody, didn't you? Bet you're feeling pretty silly now." The room erupted in murmurs. Some guests looked embarrassed, others curious. Jake, Lily's brother, stood up, his face twisted with anger. "This is a trick!" he shouted. "Tom's a liar. He's probably hired this guy to fake it." Max laughed. "Fake it? Kid, I've worked with Tom for years. I'm the COO of Techstar, and trust me, Tom's the real deal." Lily grabbed Tom's arm, her eyes searching his face. "Tom, why didn't you tell me?" Tom's throat felt tight. I didn't want you to love me for my money," he said softly. "I wanted you to love me for me." Lily's eyes softened, but there was hurt there too. "You should have trusted me," she whispered. Before Tom could say more, Mr. Carver stormed around the table, pointing at Max. "Get out of my house, both of you! I don't care about your so-called company. Tom's still a nobody to me." Max didn't budge. "Oh, you'll care soon," he said, his voice suddenly serious. "Tom, we've got a problem. A big one. That's why I'm here." Tom frowned. "What problem?" Max leaned in, lowering his voice so only Tom could hear. "Someone's trying to take over Techstar. They've been buying shares in secret. If we don't act fast, you could lose everything." Tom's stomach dropped. Lose Techstar? His company, his life's work? He'd built it from a tiny idea in his garage to a global empire. And now someone was trying to steal it? "Who's behind it?" Tom asked, his voice sharp. Max glanced around the room, his eyes landing on Mr. Carver, who was still yelling at the guests to be quiet. "I don't have proof yet," Max whispered, "but I think it's someone close. Someone who knows you're the real Tom Harper." Tom's blood ran cold. Someone close? Could it be the Carvers? They hated him. Would they go that far to ruin him? Before Tom could ask more, Mrs. Carver stood up, her face pale but her voice icy. "Enough of this circus. Lily, you're coming with us. This marriage is over. And Tom, you're never welcome here again." Lily's hand tightened on Tom's arm. "No," she said, her voice strong now. "I'm staying with Tom, and you're wrong about him. You've always been wrong." The room went silent again. Mr. Carver's jaw dropped. Jake threw his napkin on the table and stormed toward Tom, his fists clenched. "You think you're a big shot now, dirt boy? I'll show you." But before Jake could reach Tom, a loud crash came from the hallway. Everyone turned. A man in a black suit stumbled through the doors, his face pale, a phone pressed to his ear. "Mr. Carver!" he shouted. We've got a problem. The deal just fell through. We're losing millions. Mr. Carver's face went from red to white. What deal? He barked. The man looked panicked. The big one. The investors pulled out at the last second. They said they're backing someone else. Someone with more power. Tom's eyes narrowed. More power? Could this be connected to the attack on Techstar? Was someone playing a bigger game, targeting both him and the Carvers? Max grabbed Tom's shoulder. We need to go. Now. If we don't stop this, Techstar's done. Tom looked at Lily, then at the chaos around him, Mr. Carver yelling, Mrs. Carver fanning herself, Jake glaring, and the guests whispering. He had a choice. Stay and face the Carvers, or leave and save his company. But what if leaving meant losing Lily? And what if the Carvers were behind this whole thing? He took a deep breath and turned to Max. Let's go. But as he stepped toward the door, Lily's voice stopped him. Tom, wait. There's something you need to know. Tom turned back, his heart racing. What was Lily about to say? And would it change everything? Let's rewind a little, to the weeks before the dinner, when the tension was building like a storm cloud ready to burst. Tom and Lily's life wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. They'd spend evenings on their porch, sipping lemonade, talking about their dreams. Lily wanted to start a charity for kids who couldn't afford school supplies. Tom loved that about her big heart. He'd smile and say, one day, we'll make it happen. But the Carvers were always there, like a shadow over their happiness. They'd call Lily constantly, telling her she was wasting her life with Tom. You could do so much better, Mrs. Carver would say. What about that nice lawyer, Richard? He's got a mansion. Lily always hung up, but Tom could see it hurt her. She loved her family, even if they were mean, and Tom hated being the reason she fought with them. One day, Tom was at the hardware store, buying seeds for the garden, when he overheard two men talking. They were in suits, looking out of place among the shovels and paint cans. Carver's in deep, one said. He's betting everything on this deal. If it fails, he's done. Tom froze. Mr. Carver? In trouble? He didn't say anything, but he filed it away in his mind. If the Carvers were desperate, maybe that's why they hated him so much. Maybe they thought Lily marrying up could save them. That night, Tom told Max about it over coffee. Max was the opposite of Tom Loud, bold, and always ready for a fight. Sounds like your in-laws are in over their heads, Max said, leaning back in his chair. You should tell them who you are, Tom. Shut them up for good. Tom shook his head. I don't want to win like that. I want them to like me for me, not my money. Max rolled his eyes. You're too nice, man. One day, that's gonna bite you. Tom laughed, but deep down, he wondered if Max was right. What if being nice wasn't enough? A few days later, something strange happened. Tom was working in the garden when a black car parked across the street. A man in a suit got out, looked at Tom, and took a picture with his phone. Then he drove away. Tom's stomach twisted. Who was that? Was someone watching him? He didn't tell Lily. She was already stressed about her dad's birthday dinner. But he did tell Max, who got serious fast. Sounds like someone's digging into you, Max said. Could be a competitor. Or worse. Worse? Tom asked. Max leaned in. Techstar's big, Tom. People want what you have. If someone finds out you're the guy behind it, they might come after you. Tom didn't want to believe it, but the car kept coming back. Every few days, he'd see it, always watching. He started checking his locks at night, keeping his curtains closed. He felt like a mouse in a trap, waiting for the snap. Then, one morning, Tom got a call from an unknown number. He answered, and a deep voice said, Tom Harper, we know who you are. Step away from Techstar, or you'll regret it. The line went dead. Tom stood there, his heart pounding. Someone knew his secret. But who? And what did they want? The day of the dinner, Tom was a wreck. He didn't tell Lily about the call or the car. He didn't want her to worry. But as they drove to the Carver's mansion, he couldn't shake the feeling that something bad was coming. Lily noticed. You okay? She asked, touching his hand. Tom forced a smile. Just nervous about your family, she sighed. I know they're awful to you, but I'm with you, okay? Always. Tom nodded, but his mind was racing. What if the Carvers were the ones watching him? What if they'd found out about Techstar and were trying to take it? No, that was crazy. They didn't even know he had money, did they? As they pulled up to the mansion, Tom's phone buzzed. It was a text from Max. Be careful tonight. I'm digging into the takeover. Something's off. I'll find you if I need to. Tom's grip tightened on the phone. Max was worried. That wasn't good. He put the phone away and followed Lily inside, feeling like he was walking into a trap. Now we're back at the dinner, with Tom and Max about to leave, Lily's words hanging in the air. Tom, wait. There's something you need to know. Tom stopped, his hand on the door. What is it, Lily? She took a deep breath, her eyes darting to her parents, then back to Tom. I found something. In Dad's office. Papers about Techstar. I didn't understand them, but your name was on them. Tom's blood ran cold. Papers? About Techstar? In Mr. Carver's office? He turned to Mr. Carver, who was still yelling at the man in the suit about the failed deal. Was it possible? Was Mr. Carver the one trying to steal his company? Max's eyes narrowed. What kind of papers, Lily? Before she could answer, Jake lunged forward, grabbing Lily's arm. Shut up, Lily. You don't know what you're talking about. Tom stepped between them, his voice low but firm. Let her go, Jake. Jake smirked, but he dropped Lily's arm. The room was tense, like a bomb about to go off. Mr. Carver pushed through the crowd, his face twisted with rage. This is my house. I want you all out. Now. But before anyone could move, the man in the suit shouted again, Mr. Carver, it's worse! The investors just sold their shares to someone else. They're saying it's Techstar. The room gasped. Tom's head spun. Techstar? His company? Buying out the Carvers deal? But he hadn't ordered that. What was going on? Max grabbed Tom's arm. We're out of time. We need to get to the office. Now. Tom looked at Lily, then at the Carvers, then at the chaos around him. Someone was playing a dangerous game, and he was caught in the middle. But who was it? And what did Lily know that could change everything? As Tom and Max ran out the door, a black car screeched to a stop outside the mansion. The same car Tom had seen watching him. The window rolled down, and a man's face appeared, smiling coldly. See you soon, Tom, he said, then sped away. Tom's heart stopped. Who was that man, and what did he want with Tom's life? The night air was cold, as Tom and Max sprinted out of the Carver's mansion, their shoes pounding on the gravel driveway. The black car's taillights disappeared into the darkness, leaving Tom's heart racing. That man's voice. See you soon, Tom echoed in his head like a warning bell. Who was he, and how did he know Tom's name? Max grabbed Tom's arm, pulling him toward his sleek silver car parked nearby. Get in, Max shouted, already yanking the door open. We need to get to Techstar's office before this gets worse. Tom hesitated, glancing back at the mansion. Through the tall windows, he could see the dining room, still in chaos. Mr. Carver was yelling, waving his arms. Mrs. Carver was slumped in a chair, fanning herself. Jake was pacing, his face twisted with anger. And Lily was standing by the door, watching Tom, her eyes full of worry and something else. Guilt? Fear? Tom couldn't tell. Tom, now, Max snapped, starting the engine. Tom slid into the passenger seat, his mind spinning. What's happening, Max? Techstar buying out the Carvers deal? I didn't order that. Max peeled out of the driveway, the tires squealing. I know you didn't. Someone's playing games. They're using your company's name to mess with the Carversan to come after you. Tom's stomach twisted. You think it's the Carvers? Lily said she found papers in her dad's office about Techstar with my name. Max's eyes narrowed as he swerved through traffic. Maybe, but it doesn't add up. If Carver knew you were the head of Techstar, why keep treating you like dirt? He'd be kissing up to you, not kicking you out. Tom nodded, but doubt gnawed at him. The Carvers hated him, but were they smart enough to pull off something this big? And what about that black car? The man's cold smile felt personal, like he knew Tom's secrets. All of them. Max's phone buzzed in the center console. He glanced at it, then cursed under his breath. "It's Sarah," he said, pressing the speaker button. Sarah was Techstar's head of security, a tough woman who never panicked. If she was calling this late, it was bad. "Max, where's Tom?" Sarah's voice crackled through the phone, sharp and urgent. "Right here," Tom said, leaning forward. "What's wrong?" Sarah didn't waste time. "Someone hacked into Techstar servers an hour ago. They got access to your personal files, Tom. Bank accounts, company shares, everything. And they're moving fast, transferring money, selling shares. If we don't stop them, Techstar could be gutted by morning." Tom's blood ran cold. His company, his life's work, was slipping away. "Who's doing this?" he asked, his voice shaking. "We're tracing it," Sarah said. "But it's sophisticated. Whoever it is, they've been planning this for a while. And Tom, they know you're the secret CEO. They're targeting you specifically." Max slammed his hand on the steering wheel. "I knew it. Someone's been watching you, Tom. That car, those threats, it's all connected." Tom's mind raced. The black car. The phone call telling him to step away from Techstar. The papers in Mr. Carver's office. And now a hack? It was too much. Too fast. "Sarah, can you lock down the servers?" he asked. "Already trying," she said. "But they're fighting back. I need you here, Tom. You're the only one with the master codes to shut this down." "We're 10 minutes out," Max said, flooring the gas pedal. The car roared through the city, lights blurring past. Tom's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, expecting another message from Max's team, but it was a text from an unknown number. "You can't run, Tom. Give up Techstar, or Lily pays the price." Tom's heart stopped. "Lily?" He stared at the words, his hands shaking. Whoever was behind this wasn't just after his company, they were threatening his wife. "Max!" Tom said, his voice barely a whisper. "They know about Lily." Max's eyes widened. "What? Show me!" Tom held up the phone, the text glowing in the dark car. Max read it and swore again. "Okay, this just got personal. Sarah, you hear that?" "Got it," Sarah said through the speaker. "Tom, I'm sending a security team to your house and the Carver's mansion. Lily's still there, right?" "Yeah," Tom said, his throat tight. "She stayed to talk to her parents." "Good," Sarah said. "We'll keep her safe. But Tom, you need to focus. Get to the office. Stop the hack. We'll handle the rest." Tom nodded, but his mind was on Lily. Was she safe? Did she know more than she'd said? And what about those papers she found? He needed answers, but first, he had to save his company. As Max sped toward Techstar's headquarters, Tom's phone buzzed again. Another text. "Tick-tock, Tom. You have 1 hour, or Lily disappears." Tom's hands clenched into fists. Whoever this was, they were playing a dangerous game, and Tom was done hiding. Let's go back a few weeks, before the dinner, when the pieces of this puzzle started falling into place. Tom was trying to keep his life simple, but the world had other plans. The black car kept showing up, always at odd times when he was gardening, when he was grabbing coffee, when he was walking home with Lily. It never got too close, but it was always there, watching. Tom started feeling like a hunted animal. He didn't tell Lily about it. She was already stressed, juggling her job at a local bookstore and her family's constant pressure. But one evening, as they sat on their porch, Lily seemed different. Quiet, distant. Tom noticed her picking at her nails, something she only did when she was nervous. "You okay?" he asked, setting down his lemonade. Lily hesitated, then forced a smile. "Yeah, just family stuff. Dad's been acting weird. He's stressed about some big deal." Tom's ears perked up. "What kind of deal?" She shrugged. "I don't know. He doesn't tell me much. But he's been locked in his office all week, making calls, yelling at people. Mom says it's the biggest deal of his life. If it goes wrong, they could lose everything. Tom's mind flashed to the men in the hardware store, talking about Mr. Carver's risky bet. Lose everything? He asked. Like, the businesses? Lily nodded, her eyes worried. I think so. I overheard him talking to Jake about selling some properties, even the mansion. It's scary. Tom reached for her hand. Hey, it'll be okay. Your dad's tough. He'll figure it out. Lily squeezed his hand, but her smile was weak. I hope so. I just wish they'd stop blaming you for everything. It's not your fault they're in trouble. Tom's heart sank. The Carvers thought he was dragging Lily down, but what if they were the ones sinking? And what if they were desperate enough to do something crazy like target him? That night, Tom couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the black car, the Carvers' money problems, and the strange phone call threatening Techstar. He got up and checked his laptop, logging into Techstar's secure server. Everything looked normal, no hacks, no unusual activity, but something felt off. He sent a message to Sarah, asking her to double-check the system. Just a feeling, he wrote. Sarah replied the next morning. Nothing yet, but I'll keep an eye out. Stay sharp, Tom. A few days later, Tom was at the local market, buying vegetables for dinner. Lily was at her parents' house, helping with party plans for Mr. Carver's birthday. The market was busy, full of people chatting and vendors shouting about fresh tomatoes. Tom was picking out carrots when he felt someone watching him. He turned and saw a man standing by a fruit stall, staring right at him. The man was tall, with slicked back hair and a black suit that looked too fancy for the market. His eyes were cold, like a snake's. When Tom met his gaze, the man smiled, slow, creepy smiling, walked away. Tom's heart raced. Was that the guy from the black car? He dropped the carrots and followed, weaving through the crowd. The man moved fast, slipping between stalls, but Tom kept up. He needed to know who this guy was. The man turned down a quiet alley behind the market. Tom hesitated, then followed, his fists clenched. Hey, he called. Who are you? The man stopped and turned, still smiling. You're a curious one, Tom Harper, he said, his voice smooth and chilling. Curiosity can be dangerous. Tom's blood ran cold. How do you know my name? The man chuckled. I know a lot about you, more than you think. Walk away from Techstar, Tom. It's not yours anymore. Before Tom could respond, the man pulled out a phone, typed something, and walked away. Tom started to chase him, but a delivery truck rumbled into the alley, blocking his path. By the time it passed, the man was gone. Tom stood there, his heart pounding. That was no random threat. This guy knew about Techstar. He knew Tom was the secret CEO, and he was dangerous. The day before the dinner, Lily came home late, her face pale. Tom was in the kitchen, making pasta, trying to act normal despite the alley encounter. He hadn't told Lily about Ive didn't want to scare her, but when she walked in, he knew something was wrong. Lily? He said, setting down the spoon. What happened? She dropped her bag and sank into a chair. I was at my parents' house, helping with the party. I went into Dad's office to get some envelopes, and I found something. Tom's stomach tightened. What? Lily looked at him, her eyes wide. Papers. A whole folder. It had your name on it, Tom, and something called Techstar. I didn't read much, but it looked like Dad was investigating you. Or the company. I don't know. Tom's mind raced. Investigating him? Why would Mr. Carver care about Techstar, unless he knew Tom was connected to it? But how? Tom had been so careful. Did you take the papers? He asked. Lily shook her head. No. Dad came in, and I hid them back in the drawer. He didn't see me, but he was on the phone, talking about some deal. He said, if we don't get this, we're finished. He sounded desperate. Tom's heart sank. Desperate people did desperate things. Was Mr. Carver behind the threats? The hack? The black car? Or was someone else pulling the strings? He hugged Lily, trying to stay calm. It's okay. he said. We'll figure it out. Tomorrow at the dinner, we'll keep our eyes open. Lily nodded, but her hands were shaking. Tom held her tight, but inside, he was terrified. The storm was coming, and he wasn't sure he could stop it. Back in Max's car, speeding toward Techstar's headquarters, Tom stared at the threatening text. 1 hour, or Lily disappears. His hands shook with anger and fear. He couldn't lose Lily. She was everything to him. Max, Tom said, his voice hard, we need to end this. Whoever's behind it, they're not just after Techstar, they're after my life. Max nodded, his jaw tight. We'll stop them, Tom, but we need to be smart. They're playing dirty. Tom's phone buzzed again. He braced himself, expecting another threat. But it was a message from Lily. Tom, I'm sorry. I should have told you earlier. Dad's working with someone. I heard him on the phone. Be careful. I'm coming to find you. Tom's heart skipped a beat. Lily was leaving the mansion? Alone? In the middle of this mess? He typed back, Stay there, it's not safe! But before he could hit send, Max's car screeched to a stop. They were at Techstar's headquarters, a sleek glass building glowing in the night. But something was wrong. The front doors were open, and the security lights were off. Sarah's voice crackled through Max's phone. Tom, Max, get inside now. The hacker's still in the system, and we just found something else someone's been in your office, Tom. They left a message. Tom's blood ran cold. A message? He pushed open the car door, his heart pounding. As he stepped out, he saw Ita black car parked across the street, its engine running. The same car. And in the window, that cold, familiar smile. Max, Tom whispered, pointing. He's here. Max turned, but the car sped off into the night. Tom's phone buzzed one last time. A new text. Welcome to the game, Tom. You're already losing. Inside the building, something was waiting. Something that would change everything. But what was it? And would Tom be too late to save Lily and his company? The Techstar headquarters loomed like a glass giant in the dark, its usual glow dimmed by the eerie blackout of the security lights. Tom's heart pounded as he and Max sprinted toward the open front doors, the cold night air biting at their faces. The black car's taillights had vanished, but that chilling smile lingered in Tom's mind. Whoever was behind this was close, too close. And now, with Lily's text about her father working with someone and a mysterious message waiting in Tom's office, the stakes were higher than ever. Stay sharp, Max whispered as they slipped inside. The lobby was dark, the usual hum of computers replaced by an unsettling silence. Papers were scattered across the reception desk, and a chair lay tipped over like someone had left in a hurry. Tom's phone buzzed again, but he ignored it. He couldn't handle another threat right now. He needed to focus. Sarah said the hacker's still in the system, he said, his voice low. And someone's been in my office. What kind of message are we walking into? Max's jaw tightened. Could be a trap. But we don't have a choice. If we don't stop this hack, Techstar's gone. And maybe Lily too. Tom's stomach twisted at the mention of Lily. Her text, Dad's working with someone, kept replaying in his head. Was Mr. Carver the mastermind behind this? Or was he just a pawn in someone else's game? And why was Lily leaving the mansion to find him? The thought of her alone, in danger, made Tom's chest ache. They moved quickly through the dark hallways, their footsteps echoing. Techstar's offices were usually buzzing with energy programmers coding, designers sketching, coffee machines whirring. Now, it felt like a ghost town. As they reached the elevator, Max pressed the button, but nothing happened. Power's out, Max muttered. Stairs it is. They climbed to the top floor, where Tom's office was. Every creak of the stairwell made Tom flinch, expecting someone to jump out of the shadows. When they finally reached the door to his office, it was ajar, a faint glow spilling out. Someone had been here, or still was. Max pulled a small flashlight from his pocket and nodded at Tom. Ready? Tom took a deep breath, his heart racing. Yeah. They pushed the door open and stepped inside. The office was a mess, drawers yanked open, papers strewn across the floor. Tom's computer screen flickering with lines of code. But what caught Tom's eye was the wall behind his desk. Scrawled in red marker, in big, angry letters, was a message. "You can't hide forever. Tom, give up or lose everything." Tom's blood ran cold. This wasn't just a hack. This was personal. Someone wanted to destroy him, not just his company. Max swore under his breath. "This guy's unhinged." "Sarah!" he called into his phone. "We're in Tom's office. You seeing this?" Sarah's voice crackled back. "Yeah, I'm watching the security feed. No one's in the building now, but someone disabled the cameras an hour ago. They knew exactly what they were doing. Tom, get to your computer. We need those master codes to lock down the servers." Tom nodded, stepping over the scattered papers to his desk. His computer was still on, but the screen showed a login prompt he'd never seen before. "This isn't my system," he said, frowning. "Someone's changed it." Max leaned over his shoulder. "Can you break in?" "I can try," Tom said, his fingers flying over the keyboard. He was a genius with code. This was his world. But as he typed, a new message popped up on the screen. "Nice try, Tom. You're too late." The screen flickered, and a video feed appeared. It was grainy, but Tom's heart stopped when he saw it. Lily. She was sitting in a dimly lit room, her hands tied behind her back, her face pale but defiant. A man's voice, distorted and cold, spoke through the feed. "Tom Harper, you've been a hard man to find. Step away from Techstar. Sign over your shares, or your wife pays the price." Tom's hands froze on the keyboard. "Lily," he whispered, his voice breaking. Max grabbed his shoulder. "Tom, stay with me. We'll get her back. Sarah, can you trace that feed?" "Working on it," Sarah said, her voice tense. "But they're bouncing the signal through multiple servers. It's going to take time." "We don't have time," Tom snapped, his eyes locked on Lily's face. She looked scared, but strong, like she was trying to tell him something with her eyes. Then he noticed a small detail in the background. A logo on the wall, faint, but familiar. It was the same logo he'd seen on the papers in Mr. Carver's office. The Carver's company. Tom's blood boiled. "It's them," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "The Carvers. They've got Lily." Max's eyes widened. "You sure?" "Positive," Tom said. "That logo, it's Carver Industries. Lily said she found papers about Techstar in her dad's office. They've been planning this." Sarah's voice cut in. "Tom, I'm not so sure. The hack's coming from an external source, not Carver Industries, and the security team just checked the mansion. Lily's not there. She left right after you did." Tom's head spun. If Lily wasn't at the mansion, where was she? And if the Carvers weren't behind the hack, who was? The man in the black car? The one who'd threatened him in the alley? Or someone else entirely? Before Tom could think, the video feed cut off, replaced by a countdown timer. 59, 0, 58, 58, 58, 58. 1 hour. Just like the text had warned. Max grabbed Tom's arm. "Focus, Tom. Break into the system. Stop the hack. I'll call the security team to search for Lily." Tom nodded, forcing himself to focus. He typed faster, his mind racing through every trick he knew. The new login was tough, but not impossible. He found a backdoor in the code, a tiny flaw the hacker had missed. "Got it," he said, as the screen unlocked, revealing Techstar's main server. But what he saw made his heart sink. The hacker had already transferred millions from Techstar's accounts. Company shares were being sold off at a frantic pace. And there was a new file on the server, labeled Tom's Secrets. Tom hesitated, then opened it. Inside were documents, bank statements, emails, even photos of him from years ago, when he'd first started Techstar. Someone had been digging into his life for a long time. "Max," Tom said, his voice shaking. "This isn't just a takeover. They've been stalking me. They know everything." Max's face was grim. "Then we fight back. Lock down the servers, Tom. Now." Tom entered the master codes, his fingers trembling. The system started to shut down, cutting off the hacker's access. But just as the screen flashed, lockdown complete, an alarm blared through the building. Red lights flashed, and a robotic voice echoed, "Intruder alert! Intruder alert!" Max pulled Tom away from the desk. "They're here," he said, his voice low. "Whoever sent that video, they're in the building." Tom's heart raced. He grabbed a heavy paperweight from his desk, the only weapon he could find. "We need to find Lily," he said. "If they're here, she might be too." Max nodded, pulling out his phone to call Sarah. "Sarah, we've got company. Where's the security team?" "On their way," Sarah said. "But Tom, I just found something. The hacket's linked to a company called Shadow Corp. Ever heard of it?" Tom froze. Shadow Corp. He'd heard the name before, years ago, when he was starting Techstar. It was a shady rival company, known for stealing tech and ruining competitors. Their CEO, Victor Kane, was ruthless, a man who'd do anything to win. Could Kane be the man in the black car? The one behind all this? Before Tom could answer, the office door burst open. Two men in black masks stood there, holding tasers. "Tom Harper," one said, his voice muffled. "Come with us, now." Tom gripped the paperweight, his heart pounding. Max stepped in front of him, ready to fight. But then, a third figure appeared in the doorway, a man with slicked back hair and a cold, familiar smile. The man from the market. The man from the black car. "Hello, Tom," he said, his voice smooth and dangerous. "I told you we'd meet again." Let's rewind a few weeks, to the moments that led to this showdown. Tom's life was unraveling, but he didn't know how deep the danger went. After the encounter in the market alley, Tom became paranoid. He started checking his phone for bugs, double-locking the doors, even avoiding his usual routines. The man's words, "It's not yours anymore," haunted him. He dug into his old files, looking for anything about Shadow Corp. He found a folder from his early days at Techstar when he was just a kid with a dream. Shadow Corp had tried to buy him out back then, offering millions for his first app. When Tom refused, they'd sent threatening emails, even hacked his prototype. He'd fought them off, but it had been close. Victor Kane, their CEO, had called him personally, his voice cold and mocking. "You'll regret this, Harper," Kane had said. "I always get what I want." Tom thought he'd left Shadow Corp behind, but now, with the black car, the threats, and the hack, it felt like Kane was back. And this time, he wasn't playing games. Tom told Max about Shadow Corp, and Max went into overdrive. He called in favors, hired private investigators, and beefed up Techstar's security. "If Kane's after you," Max said, "we need to be ready. He's not just a businessman, he's a predator." Tom nodded, but he didn't tell Lily. She was already worried about her family's financial troubles and the upcoming dinner. He didn't want to scare her with stories of a shady CEO from his past. But he did ask her to stay close, to call him if anything felt off. Lily noticed his tension. One night, as they lay in bed, she touched his arm. "Tom, what's wrong? You're not yourself." Tom hesitated, then forced a smile. "Just work stuff. Nothing big." Lily's eyes searched his face. "You'd tell me if it was serious, right?" "Of course," Tom lied, hating himself for it. He wanted to protect her, but keeping secrets was tearing him apart. Meanwhile, the Carver's world was crumbling. Lily came home from her parents' house one afternoon, her face pale. "It's worse than I thought," she said, sitting at the kitchen table. "Dad's company is in debt. Millions. If this deal doesn't go through, they'll lose everything. The businesses, the mansion, all of it." Tom's heart sank. "What's the deal?" Lily shook her head. "I don't know. Dad won't tell me, but he's meeting with someone big, some investor. He thinks it's their last chance." Tom's mind flashed to the papers she'd found in Mr. Carver's office. Techstar. His name. Was Mr. Carver's big investor connected to Shadow Corp? Or was it a coincidence? He wanted to ask more, but Lily looked so tired, so scared, that he just hugged her instead. "I'm here," he said. "We'll get through this." But deep down, Tom wasn't sure. The black car was still out there. The threats were getting bolder, and the dinner was looming, a ticking time bomb. The night before the dinner, Tom got another call from an unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something told him to pick up. The same deep voice from before spoke, cold and calm. "Last chance, Tom. Walk away from Techstar, or we take everything. Your company, your wife, your life." Tom's blood boiled. "Who are you?" he shouted. "What do you want?" The voice laughed. "You'll know soon enough. See you at the party." The line went dead. Tom stared at the phone, his hands shaking. The party? Did that mean the Carver's dinner? Was this person going to be there, watching him? Or was it a trick to scare him? He called Max right away. "We've got a problem," he said, explaining the call. Max's voice was grim. "I'm coming to the dinner, Tom. I don't care if I'm not invited. If this guy's there, we'll find him." Tom nodded, but fear gnawed at him. The dinner was supposed to be about surviving the Carver's insults. Now, it felt like walking into a lion's den. Back in Tom's office, the man with the cold smile stepped forward, his eyes locked on Tom. The two masked men flanked him, their tasers humming. Max stood ready to fight, but Tom knew they were outnumbered. "Who are you?" Tom demanded, gripping the paperweight. The man chuckled. "You don't remember me, do you? Victor Kane, Shadow Corp. We had such a nice chat years ago, when you thought you could outsmart me." Tom's heart sank. Kane. It was him all along. The black car, the threats, the hack Kane was the puppet master. "What do you want?" Tom asked, his voice steady despite the fear. Kane's smile widened. "Everything. Techstar. Your money. Your life. You humiliated me, Tom. Now it's my turn." Max lunged forward, but one of the masked men fired his taser, and Max crumpled to the floor, groaning. Tom shouted, raising the paperweight, but Kane held up a hand. "Don't be stupid," Kane said. "Your wife's waiting for you. If you want to see her again, you'll come with me, quietly." Tom's mind raced. Lily. Kane had her. But where? And what did the Carvers have to do with this? Were they working with Kane? Or were they just another piece on his chessboard? Before Tom could decide, his phone buzzed in his pocket. He glanced at Kane, who nodded. "Go ahead. Answer it. But no tricks." Tom pulled out the phone, his hands shaking. It was a text from Lily. "Tom, I'm at Techstar. I followed you. I'm in the basement. Help me." Tom's heart stopped. Lily was here? In the building? He looked at Kane, who was watching him closely. Did Kane know Lily was downstairs? Or was this another trap? "Time's up, Tom," Kane said, his voice cold. "Come with me, or Lily suffers." Tom gripped the phone, his mind racing. Lily was close, but so was Kane. One wrong move, and he could lose everything. What should he do? And what was waiting in the basement? Tom's heart pounded like a drum as he stood in his wrecked office, the red marker message, "You can't hide forever," Tom, glaring from the wall. Victor Kane's cold smile sent chills down his spine, and the two masked men with tasers stood ready to strike. Max was on the floor, groaning from the taser hit, his face twisted in pain. Tom clutched his phone, Lily's text burning in his mind. "I'm in the basement. Help me." She was here, in Techstar's building, so close yet so far. But Kane's words, "Come with me, or Lily suffers," hung like a guillotine over Tom's head. Tom's eyes flicked to Max, who gave a tiny nod, signaling he was okay but needed time. Tom had to stall. He needed to get to Lily, but he couldn't let Kane know she was downstairs. If Kane found her first, it was over. "Why me?" Tom asked, his voice steady despite the fear clawing at his chest. "You've got money, Kane. Why go after Techstar?" Kane's smile faded, replaced by a flicker of anger. "You don't get it, do you? It's not just about money. It's about power. You humiliated me, Tom. A nobody kid from nowhere, rejecting my offer, building an empire right under my nose. I don't lose, Tom. Ever." Tom's mind raced. Kane was unhinged, driven by ego as much as greed. That made him dangerous but also predictable. Tom just needed a chance to turn the tables. He glanced at the computer, where the lockdown was complete. The hacker's access was cut off, but Kane didn't seem to care. This wasn't about the hack anymore. It was about revenge. "I'll go with you," Tom said, raising his hand slowly. "But let Lily go. She's got nothing to do with this." Kane laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "Ah, she's got everything to do with it. You think I didn't know about your little love story? The poor gardener and the rich girl? It's pathetic, but it made you weak, easy to break." Tom's fists clenched, but he forced himself to stay calm. "Where is she?" he asked, his voice low. Kane tilted his head, like a cat playing with a mouse. "You'll see her soon. But first, you're going to sign over to Techstar. Every share, every patent, every dollar. Then maybe I'll let your wife live." Tom's phone buzzed again, but he didn't dare look. It could be Lily, or another trap. He needed to keep Kane talking. "And the Carvers?" he asked. "Are they in on this? Lily found papers in her dad's office. Your logo was on them." Kane's eyes narrowed, and for a split second, Tom saw surprise. "The Carvers?" he said, his voice dripping with disdain. "Those fools, they're just pawns. Desperate, broke, and easy to manipulate. I fed them crumbs about Techstar, letting them think they could save their sinking ship by betting against you. They don't even know who you are." Tom's heart sank. So the Carvers weren't masterminds, they were victims too. Mr. Carver's failed deal, the papers Lily found, the chaos at the dinner, it was all Kane's doing, pulling strings from the shadows. But that didn't explain everything. If Lily was in the basement, how did she get there? And why was Kane so confident? Before Tom could ask more, Max moved. Fast as lightning, he swept his leg out, tripping one of the masked men. The man stumbled, his taser clattering to the floor. Max grabbed it and fired at the second man, who collapsed with a groan. Kane spun, his face twisted with rage, but Tom was already moving. He swung the paperweight, aiming for Kane's head. Kane dodged, grabbing Tom's wrist and twisting hard. Pain shot through Tom's arm and the paperweight fell. "Stupid move," Kane hissed, shoving Tom against the desk. "You're out of your league." Max lunged at Kane, but Kane was ready. He pulled a small device from his Pochetta remote hand, pressed a button. A loud beep echoed through the building, followed by a metallic clunk from the hallway. "You hear that?" Kane said, grinning. "That's the security gates locking. You're trapped, Tom. And your wife? She's running out of time." Tom's blood ran cold. Lily. The basement. He had to get to her. He shoved Kane back, breaking free, and sprinted for the door. Max followed, grabbing the taser from the floor. "Go!" Max shouted. "I'll handle Kane!" Tom didn't look back. He ran down the dark hallway, his heart pounding. The stairwell was pitch black, but he took the steps two at a time, his phone's flashlight bouncing off the walls. Lily's text said the basement. Techstar's basement was a maze of storage rooms and old server banks, rarely used. If she was there, she was either hiding or someone had her. As he reached the basement door, his phone buzzed again. Another text from Lily. "Tom, hurry. They're coming. Storage room B7. Tom's chest tightened. "They're coming? Who? Kane's men? Or someone else?" He pushed the door open and stepped into the basement, the air cold and damp. The fluorescent lights flickered, casting long shadows. "Lily!" he called, his voice echoing. No answer. He moved fast, checking the signs on the storage rooms. B1, B2, B7 was at the end of the hall. As he ran, he heard footsteps behind him, heavy, fast. He spun, raising the flashlight, but no one was there. Just shadows. His nerves were frayed, but he couldn't stop. He reached B7 and pushed the door open. The room was dark, stacked with old computers and boxes. "Lily?" he whispered, stepping inside. A figure moved in the corner. Tom's heart leaped. "Lily!" She stepped into the light, her face pale, her hands untied. But something was wrong. Her eyes were wide, not with fear, but with guilt. Tom, she said, her voice shaking. I'm so sorry. Before Tom could ask what she meant, the door slammed shut behind him. He spun, and there stood Jake, Lily's brother, holding a crowbar. His smirk was gone, replaced by a cold, hard stare. You should have stayed away, dirt boy, Jake said. Tom's mind reeled. Jake? Here? With Lily? What's going on? He demanded, looking between them. Lily, what is this? Lily's eyes filled with tears. I didn't know, Tom. I swear. Jake, he made me text you. He's working with someone. I thought I could stop him. Jake laughed, twirling the crowbar. Stop me. You're too late, Lily. And you, Tom, you're done. Techstar's mine now. Tom's blood boiled. Yours? You're working with Kane, aren't you? Jake's smile faltered, just for a second. Kane? That creep? No way. I've got my own deal. Someone bigger. Someone who's been waiting to take you down. Tom's heart sank. Someone bigger? If not Kane, then who? And why was Jake doing this? He'd always been a bully, but this kidnapping his own sister, betraying Tom was next level. Jake, stop, Lily pleaded, stepping toward him. You don't know what you're doing. This isn't you. Jake's face twisted. You don't get it, Lily. Dad's company is dead. We're broke. But I found a way to fix it. All I had to do was get rid of Tom. Tom stepped forward, his voice low. Who's paying you, Jake? Who's behind this? Before Jake could answer, the room shook with a loud bang. The door flew open, and Max stumbled in, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. Tom! He shouted. Kane's gone. He triggered a failsafe. Techstar's servers are wiping themselves. Tom's stomach dropped. Wiping the servers? That would destroy everything, every program, every patent, every dollar. Techstar would be gone. And with it, Tom's leverage. Jake laughed, raising the crowbar. Too late, dirt boy. You lose. But Tom wasn't done. He dove at Jake, tackling him to the ground. The crowbar clattered away, and Tom pinned Jake's arms. Who's paying you? He shouted. Tell me! Jake struggled, his face red. You'll never stop them. They're bigger than you, bigger than Kane. Lily grabbed the crowbar, her hands shaking. Jake, stop. Tell us the truth. Before Jake could speak, a new sound filled the room, a low, rumbling hum. The lights flickered, and the walls shook. Tom looked up, his heart racing. What's that? Max's eyes widened. The server room. It's overheating. If we don't stop it, the whole building could go up. Tom's mind raced. Lily was safe, but Techstar was burning. Jake knew something, but there was no time to pry it out of him. And somewhere out there, the real mastermind, the one Jake was working for, was still pulling the strings. Tom dragged Jake to his feet, shoving him toward Max. Tie him up, he said. We need to get to the server room. Lily grabbed Tom's arm, her eyes desperate. Tom, I'm so sorry. I didn't know Jake was... It's okay, Tom said, pulling her close. We'll fix this. Together. Max tied Jake's hands with a cable, and the four of them ran toward the server room, the hum growing louder. As they reached the door, Tom's phone buzzed one last time. A new text from an unknown number. You're out of moves, Tom. Checkmate. Tom's blood ran cold. The mastermind was watching. But who were they? And could Tom save Techstar and his life before it was too late? The server room was a furnace, the air thick with heat and the smell of burning circuits. Red warning lights flashed, and the massive server racks hummed like an angry beast. Tom, Lily, Max, and a tied-up Jake stood at the entrance, sweat beading on their faces. Max, can you shut it down? Tom asked, his voice urgent. Max ran to a control panel, his fingers flying over the keys. I'm trying, but Kane's failsafe is deep. It's like he wanted to burn the place down if he couldn't have it. Lily clutched Tom's hand, her eyes wide. What do we do? Tom took a deep breath, his mind racing. He was a coder, a builder. He'd created Techstar from nothing. He could save it. He had to. Max, Open the emergency override. I'll rewrite the shutdown code. Max nodded, punching in a code. The panel beeped, and a new screen appeared. Tom stepped forward, his hands steady despite the chaos. He typed fast, diving into the system's core. The failsafe was clever, but Tom was better. He found the Trigera self-destruct loop and started unraveling it. As he worked, Jake laughed, his voice bitter. "You're wasting your time, Tom. They've already won." Tom didn't look up. "Who, Jake? Who's they?" Jake's eyes darted to Lily, then away. "You'll find out, when it's too late." Lily stepped toward her brother, her voice shaking. "Jake, why? We're family. Why would you do this?" Jake's face softened, just for a moment. "I had to, Lily. Dad's company. It's all we have. They promised to save it. All I had to do was get Tom out of the way." Tom's fingers froze on the keyboard. "Who promised?" he demanded. Before Jake could answer, the server room door burst open. Sarah, Techstar's head of security, stormed in with a team of armed guards. "Tom!" she shouted. "We've got Kane. He was trying to escape in the parking lot." Tom's heart leaped. "Did he say anything?" Sarah nodded, her face grim. "He's not the boss. He was hired, just like Jake. Someone else is calling the shots." Tom's mind spun. Kane, Jake, the Carversol pawns. But who was the king? He turned back to the keyboard, his fingers flying. The shutdown code was almost complete. If he could save Techstar, he'd have the leverage to find the truth. The servers groaned, the heat rising. Max shouted, "Tom, hurry. We've got maybe 2 minutes before this place blows." Tom typed faster, his heart pounding. Lily stood beside him, her hand on his shoulder. "You can do this," she whispered. With a final keystroke, Tom hit enter. The servers whined, then fell silent. The red lights turned green, and the hum faded. The screen flashed. "System stabilized." Tom let out a breath, his legs shaky. "It's done." Max clapped him on the back. "You're a genius, man." But Tom wasn't celebrating. He turned to Jake, his voice hard. "Talk. Now. Who's behind this?" Jake's shoulders slumped, his defiance gone. "It's Richard. Richard Lawson." Tom's blood ran cold. Richard Lawson. The lawyer Lily's parents had wanted her to marry. The nice man with a mansion. He'd been at the dinner, sitting quietly, watching Tom with a smug smile. Tom had thought he was just another rich snob, but now it made sense. Lawson had the money, the connections, and the motive to destroy Tom and win Lily. Lily gasped, her hand covering her mouth. "Richard? But why?" Jake looked away, ashamed. "He wanted you back, Lily, and he wanted Techstar. He paid me to help. Said he'd save Dad's company if I got Tom out of the picture." Tom's fists clenched. Lawson, the man who'd been lurking in the background, playing the long game. But where was he now? Sarah's radio crackled. "Boss, we've got a problem. Lawson's car just left the city. He's headed for the airport." Tom's heart raced. Lawson was running, but he wasn't getting away. Not after everything he'd done. "Sarah, stop him," Tom said. "Whatever it takes." Sarah nodded, barking orders into her radio. Tom turned to Lily, pulling her close. "It's over," he said. "We're safe." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "I'm so sorry, Tom. For my family. For everything." Tom kissed her forehead. "You're my family, Lily. That's all that matters." Days later, the dust settled. Sarah's team caught Lawson at the airport, where he confessed everything. He'd hired Kane to hack Techstar, used Jake to lure Tom into a trap, and manipulated the Carver's desperation to cover his tracks. He'd planned to take Techstar's patents, sell them for billions, and frame Tom for the collapse, all while trying to win Lily back. The Carvers were humiliated. Mr. Carver apologized, his pride shattered. Mrs. Carver cried, begging Lily's forgiveness. Jake faced charges, but Lily pleaded for leniency, hoping he'd change. Tom didn't care about revenge. He just wanted his life back. Techstar recovered, stronger than ever. Tom stayed CEO but stepped out of the shadows, revealing his identity to the world. The secret billionaire became a legend, but Tom stayed humble, still tending his garden, still loving Lily. The Carvers never insulted him again. They didn't have to like him, but they respected him. And Lily? She stood by Tom, prouder than ever. One evening, as they sat on their porch, Lily squeezed his hand. "You're my hero," she said. Tom smiled, his heart full. "And you're mine." The storm was over, but in the quiet, Tom knew one thing. No secret, no money, no power mattered more than the woman beside him, and that was worth more than all the billions in the world.